felt it was good that I didn't have those rebellious teenage years because, French Caribbean culture, there's no such thing as teenage year
Yeah.
rebellion. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Are you absolutely crazy? Are you going to rebel? But I also feel this was the biggest mistake. This was the biggest mistake because you don't have this breakaway moment, and you try to compensate in a different way. I left home, like I went to study abroad as soon as I could. And that was my mechanism. Instead of facing some of the truth, my truth that I should have shared, I just ran away. It worked for a long time, but eventually this is catching up to you, and I don't think there's really a way to to avoid that moment where you're no longer a kid, and you speak your own truth, and it's really hard. The same for my mom, and I spoke about it in other interviews. She came to France from the French Caribbean on a boat. That trip took weeks. Didn't know where you arrived, had a rough time when you arrived, had to figure the whole thing by yourself. I mean, you're kidding me? There's no parents, there's not like, I'm sad, mom, can you, like, there's no video, there's no FaceTime. You're like by yourself.
Survival.
And through that absolute survival, and through that whole survival, you still manage to get your nursing qualification, become a nurse, raise 2 kids by yourself. I lost my brother when I was quite young. Lose 1 child, still carry the whole. Like, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Your point you made. Hey, I did the best I could, and even more than what she could. She did amazing.
With what was given for her, it's kind of magic what she created. Yeah.
On the flip side, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't decide to come on this planet. I'm here. I have my life. I have my own decision. I think, like, again, when I look at your background, you went through a very elitist education. I'm sure that parents, family love that. They love showing the picture. They love showcasing all that. Working at the UN, kidding me? Like the whole family must have like a feast and all type of things. And suddenly, when for me was moving from banking and consulting to say like, hey, I'm going to sell shoes. Like, excuse me.
Wait. What happened to you? Do you have a fever?
Yeah, I sacrificed so much for you, and I did that, and this part to me was the part that was really difficult to reconcile, because it's true that there was loads of sacrifices made.
Yes,
absolutely. And to what extent do you understand? You're a parent. You made your decision, and I thank you for your decision. But it still doesn't mean that you control. And I was a little bit luckier because one of my mom's friends, she had a friend, and she lived with her mom her whole life. Her whole life. Her whole life until her mom passed. So I think she was something like 55 or close to 60 when her mom passed. But she lived with her mom the whole time. She was not allowed to date. She was barely allowed to go out. And that's the thing that saved me, because that's the thing that told me, parents can be loving, caring. And I loved her mom, who got along super well. She was super fun. But in my head, I was like, parent can be caring, loving, but have some weird ideas. And this is my live example where I see that she loved her and she loved everybody and she's a normal person and she's nice. But this is wrong. Even as a kid, I could tell this is not the way this is meant to be.
Yeah, this is, wow. All what you say resonates deeply, really, really deeply in what our parents come from. It's true, they come from real struggle. Yeah, my mother too came to Spain with a 2-week visa, smuggled herself into Switzerland as an illegal immigrant. I mean, so when they see that, they think, oh, but you should be happy. You have it easier than me. You shouldn't even complain. You come and then you have documents, but for us to get out of this survival and struggle, we need to recognize these wounds and heal from them, because this is how intergenerational trauma is passed through families, because of the silence. The hurt is so much that sometimes, most of the time, our parents don't even tell us their stories. We don't know. My mother, it's a bit, you get little stories here and there, but you don't really have a full picture. Even when you ask questions, you will see that for the same thing, 3 different times, she will tell you 3 different stories,
That's so true.
I think we have to start telling our story so that we create something different for the generations in the family. Because, for example, your friend's mom, who was staying, your friend was the emotional support for the hurt that she felt inside, because it's not her role, the child's role, to be that for the mother,
Yeah.
And when in families, people struggle so much, there's so much struggle in our families, roles can be inversed. Kids can become parents, parents become like kids, and then it messes everyone up, because a kid who becomes too responsible too early, what happens? You don't get to develop. That's why you become a teenager, you don't do a crisis, because you were already responsible. You don't have time to do a crisis. You already know what to do. The crisis is but the other people who do that crisis, that teenage years, they become well balanced quicker than us. I didn't do a crisis either. My sister did a huge one. She did a huge one and she cries a lot. I can tell you, she's a well balanced human being.
It's so important, and I'll move on from that point, but it's so important because movies, I believe, and even books, like, they tend to lead you in the other path, in on this path of like, hey, you, or look at a good child staying and supporting, hey, look at that. Oh, they remember, like, a term that comes like a lot is, hey, remember where you come from. Like, I come from there. I don't need to remember. I come from there. I know it. It's like, but
Thank you.
exactly. All those messages that kind of almost meant to bring you back down. And why do you want to see me down? You should be asking me, what did you do? How did you do it? What advice do you have for me? Can you help me? I'm thinking about this or this. How do you think more, and encourage more people to think like that, rather than putting you back down, which is really tough, even for the people who like you the most, or some people that like you very much, to think like that, and also to try to protect you. All right.
I think just one last point about that, because it's something I'm so passionate about. I wrote my last article was about invisible loyalties, these loyalties that we have to our families that are so strong, because when you're a child and your parents take care of you, you cannot give them anything back. So what you give them is your loyalty. So it comes with obligation and guilt. So it's so strong that people don't break away from them. And even kids who are abused, they have this loyalty to their parents, because we all need to belong. A human being is made to live with other people. But it's so important to understand these loyalties so that you can break away from them and choose the people you want to be loyal to. You can choose your wife, someone who is good to you. You can choose your friends, and then you surround yourself with people who are loving, because in some families, not everybody is a good parent or a good family member. So, it's important to accept that.